Hey guys, it's Amy from Amy Says So. How you doing? Do I look rested? I'm a week out, a little bit more than a week out from the Marine Corps Marathon. My mother-in-law always tells me after the races have passed and it's been about a week, she'll always say, "Oh my gosh, you look so rested." I think that means I'm tired before I go into the race. Maybe. All right. This is my medal. Oops, wait, here we go. Medal for the Marine Corps Marathon. It's out of focus. Let's back it up. Marine Corps Marathon. Ta-da! Here's my bib. Can we talk about my Marine Corps Marathon? Let's do it. Let's talk about it. Do you have questions about the Marine Corps Marathon? Have you been thinking of signing up and you have all kinds of questions? I can answer them for you. So the Marine Corps Marathon is a marathon, 26.2 miles, that they hold every October around Washington, D.C. It's actually, I ran the marathon 26.2 miles. This year they also had an ultra, a 50K, which is more than 26 miles. I didn't do the math. And they also have a 10K that runs at the same time. I think that's it. It's part of a whole series that this race group does that they have at marinemarathon.com. You can find all of the races that they do. They do a bunch of stuff that leads up to this if you're local and you live there. The way I got into the Marine Corps Marathon was that I signed up during a rush registration. Normally, it's a lottery. And there's a bunch of different ways because they do have different categories that honor different types of people. So there is a military category, which I don't have a military connection. So for me, it was sign up and go. This is the first time I've done this race, but it has rave reviews. There are people who love this marathon. There are people who do this marathon every single year. And it's got a tremendous, tremendous reputation. And I can totally see why now that I've done it. It is an amazing race. It is a beautiful course. And honestly, it is one of the best organized, maybe the best organized marathon that I have ever participated in. Not sure between this and New York, which is also amazingly organized. Big urban marathon, does a loop around the city, a million different people involved, so on and so forth. And this year, the weather was a huge story. Okay, the weather was a huge story. We had rain just during the marathon. And it was a really big deal. And if you have done a big event like a marathon, a half marathon, a half Ironman, any long event, you might already know that rain tends to make the volunteers scatter, and that's not good for the racers. But we had plenty of volunteers, and the course was packed nonstop with people, you know, singing and dancing and stuff like that. That they were not singing it, but there were bands. There was entertainment. The volunteers were always there. It was really well organized. Okay, so you can read if you have lots and lots of questions. I did a full write up of the Marine Corps Marathon on the blog, amysaysso.com/ Marine Corps Marathon 2019. Okay, so you can find all of the details. I talk about registration. I talk about what the course is like. I talk about the support I had. I talk about the expo. I talk about traveling to DC, where I stayed, where I suggest you stay, getting to the start, getting to the finish, all of those things. Okay. So the race was in the rain this year. That was an adventure. I don't have a good track record recently with races in the rain. I DNF'd Ironman Louisville in the rain. And so I did a lot of thinking about the forecast was for the rain. I had time to prepare this. And I did a lot of mindset work with myself about racing in the rain and training in the rain and bad weather and what it meant to me and why I did what I do. And I did a whole podcast about that. Did you know I have a podcast? Did you know? I do. I do. It's called the Mile After Mile podcast. And it is wherever you look for podcasts. So it's on iTunes, it's on Spotify, it's on iHeartRadio. It's on, oh, there's another one that is for Android that distributes. And it has a website, mileaftermilepodcast.com, and you can find it. It's episode 51. And in that episode, I don't talk about details about the race. I talk about the mindset work I did to run a race in the weather that we had and have a good attitude about it. It wasn't the fastest marathon that I've ever done. No, not by a long shot. But it was a lot of fun. I highly, highly recommend it. One thing that I knew but didn't quite process until I was like in the middle of it, there is a very heavy duty military theme for this marathon. Obviously, Marine Corps Marathon. It's all themed around the Marines. But it is 100% start to finish, you are in a military zone of admiration and respect. And so there are Marines everywhere. They're honoring different branches of the service. You'll see it at the expo. You'll see it at the race. It's profoundly well organized. It starts exactly on time. They fire a cannon. Some of the stuff we didn't get to see. Apparently, there's a flyover that usually happens, but we had bad weather. It is at the end, so you're staffed by all of these things. Anyway, you know, imagine like the most themed party you've ever been to. This is like this, except the theme is America and military. And so it's very, very cool if you like it. But if you don't like that kind of thing, which I did very much enjoy, but if you don't like it, this is not the race for you. So, for example, at the start of the race, the start of the marathon, not the 50K, at the start of the marathon, they sing the national anthem, very standard for a sporting event in the United States. There's no announcement, there's no call for silence, anything like that, but everybody gets immediately very, very quiet on their own without being told. And it's silent, and I can't imagine what would happen if you tried to talk your way through it, because I don't think it'd go over well. There are parts of the race where they're honoring fallen soldiers, and if you are not respectful at those times, you will be informed by another racer that you're not doing it right. There's lots of people running with flags. I really enjoyed it. I very, very much enjoyed it. But in the chance that it's not your thing, maybe it's not the race for you. So that is my story from the Marine Corps Marathon. Ta 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 ta. Another medal. The end, you are greeted by a Marine who gives you the medal. People who ran with their phones took photos. I was not so organized. Actually, I intentionally left my phone home. And then you go through and you're congratulated by many, many Marines who shake your hand and stuff like that, give you a high five. And I have to say that they all appeared very young, very, very young. It made me feel very nice, but very very old. I enjoyed it. I had a great day. I'm happy I did it. I'm looking forward to my next marathon, and I hope you guys enjoy this video. Let me know. Have a wonderful day.